Hello, it is Lord Slar here, bringing you another installment on my series about incidental music in Doctor Who. Previously, I discussed some of the notable scores from the Hartnell era, and since that video was well received, I've decided to do the same with Patrick Troughton's era of Doctor Who. Just a quick shout out to Buzzcraft Productions, as some of the music in the background of this video was clipped from the episodes by him himself, as the original scores no longer exist. There's a link to his channel in the description. Anyhow, let's get into it. The Power of the Daleks by Tristram Cary. I know I discussed the score for this story in my last video, as it was reused from the Daleks, but I thought it was worth mentioning again because the way it was used in this episode is sublime. Tristram Cary's haunting electronic score benefits from the better directed and better written episode. Don't get me wrong, I love the Daleks to bits, but Power of the Daleks really steps up its game, giving us one of the most tense and unsettling episodes of Doctor Who, which really suits the music, which is constantly building up with a sense of foreboding, enhancing the already razor-sharp atmosphere. It just goes to show how the same piece of music can be better when used in a different context, and here the score is used perfectly. The Underwater Menace by Dudley Simpson. The Underwater Menace is often scorned by fans, and it's easy to see why due to its extremely campy and quite frankly insane nature. Suffice to say, it's a rather silly story. Personally, however, I enjoy it as a bit of fluff, but that's mainly because unlike the rest of the story, episode 3 is quite good. Simpson, however, managed to get the score right for it. The music sounds quite bizarre, often silly, which perfectly fits the feel of the episode. The standout bits have to be the fish people and the part that plays in the marketplace. There's some good ambient stuff in here too, as well as some great chanting. However, I'm not sure whether Simpson arranged that bit or whether it was just stock. Overall, a good score for a crap story. Simpson didn't do too badly considering the very weak source material he had to work with. The Moonbase. Stock music. The Moonbase is another 60s story where the score's been scrambled together through using various bits of stock music, as well as oddly 2 excerpts from the Daleks' Masterplan score. However, here they have managed to sample the most perfect possible music for this episode. I think most fans of the Moonbase will tell you that one of its best elements are its atmosphere, and that's not down only to the excellent direction by Maurice Barry and the superb acting, especially by Patrick Troughton, but also the music. The pieces perfectly manage to capture the atmosphere of the vacuum on the moon, as well as the vastness and the isolation of being stuck on the surface of the moon. It really complements the story and gets you hooked from the moment the TARDIS team step on the moon's surface. The Macra Terror by Dudley Simpson. The Macra Terror is one of the more zany Doctor Who stories in the best possible way. It's like a strange fever dream, but with a very sinister edge. Again, this is a rather bizarre story with an equally bizarre score, which works with the added bonus of the story itself actually being good, unlike the Underwater Menace. It manages to capture the overly happy feel of the colony, but keeping the ominous and sinister atmosphere that surrounds it intact. I particularly like the music when the Macra appear. It's one of Simpson's early works with a synth, and it sounds just off-key and feeds into the sinister fever dream feel. My only complaint would be that the score's a little on the short side, and some of the music is stock, but what is there is good. The Tomb of the Cybermen. Stock music. I know most of the music here has been previously used in the Space Museum, the 10th Planet, and the Moonbase, but it's so iconic in this story in particular, I felt like I had to give it a mention. Obviously the stock stuff that was being used in the Cybermen theme is used to perfection here, complementing the Cybermen's escape from the tombs perfectly. However, there's a lot more to it than just that scene. There's a lot of good atmospheric stuff when they're exploring above the tombs, especially the stuff that's playing when Jamie and Hayden discover the weapons testing room, or when Victoria, Captain and Viner explore the revitalization room. Another highlight is the track that plays in the popular scene where Troughton comforts Victoria. I mean, come on, it's one of the best scenes in Doctor Who, and unlike some emotional scenes, it's done with strong writing and acting, rather than relying on lots of tears and an overly sad score. It's very melancholy, and it really suits the moment without being overbearing. The Ice Warriors by Dudley Simpson. You know, one episode like that Ice Warriors needs a really chilling soundtrack in more ways than one. In this regard, Simpson delivers here by bringing one of his best scores yet to the table. It may not have many catchy tunes, but all of the lovely fragments help enhance the frigid atmosphere of the story. The highlights have to be the long sting that plays off. It sounds extremely icy. Also, the custom title music is excellent. Speaking of which, what happened to custom episode titles? They were only used 8 times between the years 1966 and 1970, and I do really like them, especially in the Seeds of Death. They should be brought back, as they're really good. Overall, this is a very good score. While it may not get stuck in your head, it works within the story very effectively. The Web of Fear, stock music. Wow, they found some more great stock music that suits Doctor Who. I mean, how much of this is there? All of this stuff, aside from the reused Cyberman theme, fits brilliantly here. The highlight is definitely the music that plays when the Yeti reactivates in episode 1. It was actually something that was used in the film The Shining years later. It's brilliant and creepy and really makes that scene very tense. There's plenty of good tracks in it, like all the weird ambient stuff in the tunnels, to the other bit of music when the Yeti appear. It all works great. Although again it is worth noting, what makes it work so well is the amazing directing by Douglas Camfield. But then again, what really makes the direction work is the music. They complement each other perfectly. Fury from the Deep by Dudley Simpson. This is easily Simpson's best work up to this point, and one of Doctor Who's best scores. I love how the score is used here. It's strange and intentionally off-key, which makes it very chilling to listen to. Seriously, watching this with scenes like when Mr. Oak and Mr. Quill launch a gas attack is really terrifying. The score provides a creepy and pervasive throbbing, which fits in with the fact that the reed creature is all around in the story, in the pipes, helping cultivate a very claustrophobic atmosphere, which is very important in a base under siege story. I can't compliment this score enough. There's never been a score like it since, and it just sounds so alien and unsettling. The Invasion by Don Harper. This could possibly be the greatest piece of incidental music produced for Doctor Who, up there with Fury from the Deep at least. It's an absolutely outstanding piece of work, and it's so sad that Don Harper only came to do this story. The highlight has to be the very famous track, The Company. It really suits the mood of the story perfectly, and is something you won't be able to keep out of your head after watching. Mysteries is also another brilliant track, and again, it's played at just the right moments, keeping the tense and mysterious atmosphere going. To conclude, this may be one of the best Doctor Who scores, and it's in a very deserving story too. Go watch The Invasion if you don't believe me. The Seeds of Death by Dudley Simpson. Another one of my favourite Simpson scores. Seeds is pretty stylish in its music, and comparing this to earlier episodes shows how much Simpson's skills has improved. Again, this has brilliant custom title music, where the gimmick is actually used to inform the viewer if the episode left off on the moon or the Earth. The tune is very catchy too. It's a great way to make the Seeds of Death feel unique. The highlight has to be the Ice Warrior theme. It captures the lumbering, ruthless feel of the warriors perfectly. It starts out slow and groggy, but builds up to show that just because they're slow doesn't mean they're not in danger. Its best use has to be the scene in which Phipps first hides in the solar power room, and the warrior just misses finding him. It has to be one of the most tense scenes in Doctor Who, and a lot of that tension is due to the fantastic use of the music. Overall, this whole score is great and works all the way through. Simpson has clearly hit his prime at this point. The Space Pirates by Dudley Simpson. Well, here's a rather unpopular episode. I never understood why the Space Pirates received such malice from fans. Sure, it's very, very dull, but there are stories written far worse than this one and deserve far more hate in my opinion. The one thing they did get right, however, in my opinion, is the score. The highlight for sure has to be the part with the vocals. The slow a cappella created by the singer is chilling and helps enhance the atmosphere of desolation and hopelessness that pervades part of this story, especially when they're lost in space. Overall, it's a very good score in a very poor story, but at least Dudley is keeping up his quality. The War Games by Dudley Simpson. One issue I have with the way scores are created in New Who is that most of it isn't made specifically for an episode. As in Classic Who, where this was the case, the particular theme and atmosphere of a story could be catered for by the composer. The War Games is a great example of the benefits of this method. The horns, the trumpets, and the drums give off a distinct militaristic theme, and it all sounds great and matches perfectly with the story. The highlight either has to be the Part 2 cliffhanger, which is so tense it gives me goosebumps, or the montage of the Resistance taking out all of the monitors used by the alien commanders. It just feels so cathartic and triumphant when it happens, due to 7 episodes of being defeated and lost in a hostile world. Overall, this is a top-notch score and highly worthy of being Troughton's final one. Conclusion. The Troughton era saw a significant change in the importance of incidental music. While in Hartnell's era it was used sparingly and usually stock, the team clearly realised the importance of having their own original scores, especially Peter Bryant, who made Simpson produce scores much more regularly than previous producers. You could argue that there's a little too much of one composer in this era. Don Harper was the only other one for Troughton's second half, but but as Simpsons music here sounds so distinct and is well done in each serial, it's not a problem. At least it isn't during Troughton's era. Thank you for watching, and I hope to continue this series into the Pertwee era at some point, and I'll see you back next time in another video.